Fungi play a very important role in any ecosystem and are so expansive that they are an entire eukaryotic kingdom in and of themselves. But maybe most importantly, they are always just so fun and cute. Across the world of Tyria are so many different mushrooms that play a variety of different parts in the game, from cooking to decorations to even enemies that you can fight. So today, let's go across Guild Wars 2 and highlight our top 10 favorite mushrooms found within the entire game. Let's get started. In the number 10 spot is the traditional mushroom decoration. Starting this list off in a pretty simple way, this is a decoration that can be created by a scribe for use in a guild hall, or by a handiworker for use in a homestead. Once you create this decoration, you can edit it in the same way as any other decoration, where you can change the size and orientation while also moving it to whatever spot you want. You can throw it down in random areas to add some special mushroom-based flair to your home, or you can try to get super creative and use the mushrooms in a much more extravagant way as little bits of intricate decoration or as part of a bigger design. This decoration is a pretty simple and straightforward one, where it's simply a mushroom with a pretty tall and skinny stalk leading up to a beautiful cap that transitions into a yellowish green gradient up to a purple color. I think when most people think of mushrooms in Guild Wars 2, this is maybe one of the first ones that many people think of because it's such a simple design that is also very easy to make and common to find. In the number 9 spot is the Mushroom King. Fungi are a brand new, well, maybe that term isn't really valid anymore, type of creature that was introduced all the way back in the Heart of Thorns expansion almost 11 years ago. Yeah, we're getting pretty old. But these are pretty incredible, cute little guys that wander around the heart of Maguma, but can also be found in other areas like the Lowland Shore, Equivald Forest, Castora, and more. Coming across these fellas for the first time when Heart of Thorns was originally released was such a fantastic experience and is always fun to come across them again. But the Mushroom King, specifically the one located in the tarnished treetop of Auric Base, is one of the first fungi creatures that most players stumble across as they begin exploring through Heart of Thorns content. This is a pretty simple hero challenge located right at the start of Auric Basin that a very powerful adventurer might be able to defeat by themselves, but typically you would want to bring a friend or two with you for this fight. He has such a fun little model with his little red mushroom cap with spikes sticking out of it and 2 little legs coming out of the stalk that allow him to waddle around. But with this fungus in particular, the cap resembles a crown to note his royalty and how he is the leader of all the fungi in this part of Auric Basin. In the number 8 spot is the Crooked Mushroom decoration. Returning back to the world of home decor, this is another type of decoration that you can get for guild halls and homesteads in a very similar fashion as the mushroom decoration. But this is kind of like a second tier of mushrooms where you need to create the original mushroom decoration and use that alongside a bunch of other materials to make this decoration. And this decoration does look pretty different than the original, where it is aptly named as the stalk is very bent with the intention that you would place this on a wall and the mushroom would be sticking out from the wall. The cap itself is also a fair bit different, with it still being purplish and greenish, but the gradient is flipped and there are a ton of other splotches all over it this time. On a very basic level, it is just always nice to have a variety of different decorations that you can use to add more and more details to your home. But on a deeper level, this decoration has a lot of potential for adding in fun jumping elements to your home, whether it be adding a little bit of hidden path to get from point A to point B, or building a full-on jumping puzzle. This decoration just has several more use cases compared to the more basic mushroom. In the number 7 spot is the Mushroom Queen. To ping-pong back and forth from decorations to mobs, this is another fungi creature that you can find in the Heart of Thorns expansion, and if you didn't immediately have a slight fear response from hearing her name, you will after I highlight this very deadly boss. She can be found in the Tangled Depths in the Radanovis orchards located underneath, as you would expect, Radanovis. This area can be a little tricky to get to for some players, like most parts of Tangled Depths, and the area itself is very dangerous with a lot of enemies all around here. Should you figure out how to get here and survive the threats of the area, you can try to fight this hero challenge. And this hero challenge is considered one of the most difficult in the entire game. The Mushroom King from before was pretty basic and straightforward, but the Mushroom Queen has many different deadly attacks that can just instantly annihilate any underprepared adventurer, and has a fun named ability called Save the Queen that does a lot of AoE damage and spawns sporelings to help protect her. Some people can solo this boss, but more so than any other hero challenge in the Heart of Thorns, bringing a couple friends to this fight is imperative. And alongside all of that, This is a very pretty and majestic looking model that is different than the other fungi models that we see in the game, making this fight even more special. In the number 6 spot are the various mushroom ingredients and food items. There are a ton of these across the game, and it makes sense to bundle them all together since they aren't really anything you see out in the world, but do have fun icons and are important in similar ways. Anyone adventuring through Tyria can find different mushroom nodes that they can harvest to then use as a chef or for a few other purposes. There are a couple different mushroom types like the generic mushroom, as well as portobello mushrooms. There are also a few different types of harvesting nodes themselves that you can find, and you can even add some to your home to harvest. When it comes to what food you can make with mushrooms, there are a variety of different items. To highlight a few, you have the classic looking grilled mushroom, more fun things like mushroom pizza, and more interesting ideas like mushroom loaves. You also got mushroom risotto, spicy stuffed mushrooms, saffron stuffed mushrooms yakington, creamy portobello soup, and maybe the least appetizing sounding of all with bowl of watery mushroom soup. In the number 5 spot are the thorny variants of mushroom decorations. This is a set of 3 different mushroom decorations that are very different than the previous ones we have talked about. You have a traditional thorny mushroom that is very cool looking with a pretty rigid stalk and unique looking cap that is mostly just green and yellow with some small spikes sticking out of the stalk with bigger spikes sticking out of the cap. Then there's the crooked thorny mushroom, which is basically the exact same model as the thorny mushroom, but is a little crooked and isn't necessarily designed in a way to stick out of a wall. And then you have the special squat thorny mushroom variant, unique to this type of mushroom, which is pretty similar to the thorny and crooked thorny mushrooms, but just have a shorter stalk in relation to the cap. All 3 of these mushroom decorations are cool and can definitely be used in a variety of different ways to decorate your homestead, and can even be used to create jumping puzzles should you decide to go down that route. But it is just so fun to see a variety of different types of mushrooms used as decorations in guild halls and homesteads. And it is also fun to just see a variety of different mushrooms that can be used as decorations out in the world of Tyria, as well as to add even more depth and flavor to the maps. In the number 4 spot are the ... mushrooms. These are very unique mushrooms that can be found in the Jahai Bluffs during Living World Season 4. Jahai Bluffs is a very interesting zone that, without diving too deep into the story, has a lot of, in a simplistic explanation, space-time manipulations happening across the zone due to mist rifts caused by the Elder Dragon Krokatork. There are several of these across the zone that show different parts of Tyria, but this specific distortion shows a completely unique world that is outside of Tyria, somewhere else in the mists, and is nothing like we've ever seen before, which that itself is just super, super cool. But the sample of this world that we can see features a ton of mushrooms, where these mushrooms are incredibly unique looking, glow in a very beautiful way, and are like nothing else we see in Guild Wars 2 outside of when the model has been randomly reused in one weird way. But maybe the most unique characteristic about these mushrooms are that they are hallucinogenic. Remember that beautiful glowy thing I just said? Well, if you stand too close, you will begin to see hallucinations, which makes this entire experience even more crazy. And you can dive deeper into this concept with the fun adventure located in this area called Run Around for No Reason. Mechanically, you are running around this area and collecting some random items like balloons or chickens or apple pie, but from a lore perspective of someone watching you from outside of this area, you're basically just having a bad trip and are flailing around amongst a bunch of mushrooms. In the number 3 spot are the grove mushrooms. A very general idea, as there are a ton of mushrooms located across the grove that come together in a very beautiful way. The grove is the capital city for the Sylvari, with the Sylvari, as most players should know, being a race of plant people. With them being plant people, we see them growing plants to be used as defenses, houses, and other pieces of architecture which fits their culture perfectly. This is just an incredible vibe for anyone who loves the Sylvari or plants in general, and we see a wide variety of different types of plants used for these purposes. One of them, and technically not being a plant but very similar in sense of vibes, are the use of mushrooms. And you can find mushrooms used in a variety of ways that are always so fun to see within the grove, but can then also be found here and there across various Sylvari settlements in Tyria. In the number 2 spot are the various mushroom chairs and tables. This is kind of a continuation of the previous idea, as this is a thing that you commonly see amongst the Sylvari and located in the grove, but this is a wider idea that is present and you can see in a few different ways. To generalize, the idea of having mushrooms grown into a state that you can use them as furniture is just a really fantastic idea that fits a whimsical fantasy vibe perfectly. To continue in the Grove, you can find examples of these all across the city, but especially at Starbauer Nursery, the little bar that has the giant peppermint candy entrance, where there are just a bunch of different mushroom tables surrounded by little mushroom chairs all around here. And to add even more fun into the mix, you can sit in the chairs. I think it's just a fantastic idea because the general shape of the mushroom works really well for the shapes that you would want for chairs or a table, and it adds so much flavor to the world. But now, for the number 1 spot, for our favorite mushroom in all of Guild Wars 2, and it just has to go to Beep and Boop. The newest addition to this list, with the Visions of Eternity expansion. This is a pair of those fungi creatures we've been talking about that can be found in Holgarden in the Shipwreck Strand. These are pretty similar looking but have slightly different models, with Beep being more green while Boop is more yellow and white. They just hang around this area of the world but are actually peaceful, meaning that while most of the fungi creatures that you'll find around the world are hostile and will attack you on sight or when provoked, these ones won't fight you at all and are living with the people of Holgarden. But better yet, not only are they living amongst these people, they are playing with each other and all of the children in this location, which is really cute to witness. There is just something special about cute little mushroom people who are usually killed on sight by adventurers, finding a little bit of peace and solidarity where they can live happily and have fun. Also, their names are Beep and Boop. How fun. And that's our list. I hope you enjoyed. There are so many mushrooms throughout Guild Wars 2, and it's always super fun to wander the world and appreciate each and every one of them. All of the little details in Tyria truly come together in such a unique way, which makes this world one that many people can enjoy. I hope you're all taking great care of yourselves, have a good one, and I hope you subscribe.